The divine watches. They have been checking the lock on the front door a bit more often than usual. Tonight, God sees the way they linger there for just a brief second, listening to the quiet outside. We all know that strange kind of silence. Right, the kind that feels like it is holding its own breath. It makes them wonder if they are simply the only person left awake in this entire wide world. The Lord sees the blue light of the phone reflecting in their eyes as they aimlessly scroll through content that does not really interest them. They are merely looking for a distraction from the constant humming in their own mind. The dear soul is exhausted, not just the sort of tired that a few hours of sleep can fix. It is a deeper fatigue, the kind that settles right into their bones when they have been waiting for a change that never seems to arrive. They keep replaying that one specific question, exactly like a song on loop. Is this all there is for them? They keep wondering if they have missed their turn, if the life they were meant to have somehow passed them by while they were just busy surviving. God wants them to put the phone down now. Just let the screen go dark. The world will not stop spinning if they look away from that digital screen. Let us watch as the world begins to get interesting right exactly where they are. The Creator has been watching the clock too. He has been counting the minutes since they last felt a real, true spark of genuine excitement. We know it had been a while. They had grown so used to the gray that they entirely forgot what the color of life actually felt like. They started to simply settle for a version of life that was merely okay. But okay was never God's true plan for them. The Almighty sat right there in the shadow, beside their empty chair. They couldn't see him, but they could feel the way the heavy air grew a little bit warmer when they stopped fighting the quiet silence. Heaven held a beautiful divine surprise, something heaven had been carefully working on in the hidden places, right behind the scenes of their tiring daily routine. Think of a visitor who had faithfully been traveling a massive distance just to reach their front doorstep. It had to cross some deeply rough terrain to finally get here. It had to patiently wait for the right weather, but now it was almost here. Imagine who the Creator whispered to the angels this morning while watching them pour out their coffee. That weary soul was about to have their whole world completely shifted in just a few hours. They thought they knew who was coming. They expected the angry bill collector, or the hard conversation, or the very same old disappointment to suddenly knock on their door. They had been bracing for the worst for so long that their tired shoulders were permanently pushed up toward their aching ears. They could finally let them drop. The person, the specific situation, the arrival that was moving toward them wasn't carrying a heavy burden. They were carrying a key. In just a few hours, the warm sun was going to hit the floor in a way that truly felt different. They would wake up, and for the first time in months, the very first thought in their head won't be a worry. It becomes a curiosity. Dear spiritual family, if these words have ever brought peace to a troubled heart in difficult moments, then that listener is part of this mission. And if anyone feels led to support it, they will find the link in the description and the comments. We appreciate everyone walking this journey of faith alongside us. The faithful have spent so much time trying to be exactly who everyone else demands them to be. They have been the anchor, the listener, the one holding everything tightly together, even while secretly falling apart inside. But who holds them? God does. Even when they feel like they're drifting across the middle of a dark lake without any oars, He is the very water holding them up. The Almighty is about to reveal a version of their soul they haven't seen in a decade. The spirit that was never afraid to laugh loudly, the soul that didn't double-check every single word spoken, the version that honestly believed wonderful things were meant specifically for their path. That joy is coming back. It has been waiting quietly in the hallway of the heart. That peace sat on the steps of the Spirit, and in just a few hours God is throwing that door wide open. We all feel a bit of creeping dread lately, don't we? A terrible sense that time is running out, or that a person is too old, broken, or just too tired to start over. But time never works the way humanity thinks it does. The Almighty can pack 10 years of pure restoration into one single afternoon. He easily revives a fragile heart that remained frozen for an entire winter. Yet blooming by sunset. Let's watch this unfold together. The clock wasn't ticking down to a sudden bitter end. It was ticking toward a fresh beginning. God wanted the soul to picture a doorway. Right then it was just a sliver of light beneath the heavy frame, but as the hours passed, that door was swinging wide open, and the figure standing there, the one they had been waiting for, might be a complete stranger with an offer. It could be a friend they hadn't spoken to since the world felt much simpler. It might even be a side of the divine they had not encountered yet. The Lord of the just because. The Creator who acts not because a person worked for it, or because they were entirely perfect, but simply because heaven naturally enjoys seeing them genuinely smile. They had forgotten what it felt like to be totally delighted, to have something happen that is just so unexpectedly good that a person has to sit down just to catch their racing breath. This is where we pay attention. God saw how they had been fiercely protecting themselves. They had built these tiny fortress walls of pure sarcasm, harsh realism, or just staying busy. They assumed if they never expected anything, they wouldn't get hurt. And while it was true, they wouldn't be hurt. They wouldn't truly be alive either. Not fully alive. God was coming to tear those walls down, but he'd do it so incredibly gently, they wouldn't even hear a single stone fall. He was replacing them with a garden. We're about to witness it. Their phone was going to ring, or an email was going to appear, or they were going to have a sudden realization that totally shifted the trajectory of the entire week. His child stares up at the ceiling and whispers softly, "Guess who?" And the Almighty stands there, nodding, saying, "I told you I was working on it." They keep repeating the painful thought that they are invisible, that their quiet struggles are so small in the grand scheme of the vast universe that they barely register on God's radar. But the Creator sees the exact moment their mood shifts. He spots the specific shade of dark blue their thoughts turn when they are feeling lonely. They remain the absolute center of his attention. Spinning galaxies are just quiet background noise compared to the steady sound of their heart beating precious child. The crushing wave is almost over. He knows they have heard that before. He sees they were told their time is the frafe, coming so often that those empty words have lost all real meaning. But his word is no vague promise for some distant futur. This shift is for the next few hours. Let's look at the shadows on the floor. Watch how those shapes are moving. The bright light is shifting. The world is turning, and it is turning in their favor. The Lord wants them to think about the thing they were always most afraid to hope for, that very dream they tucked away in the impossible drawer. God is grabbing the heavy handle of that drawer. He is going to pull it open, and you and I will see firsthand that impossible is just a silly word people use when they stop looking at the Creator. They have been staring at the ground. They keep focusing purely on the obstacles. He sees you focusing on the rejections that have piled up over the years. The Lord asks you to scan the horizon. He is bringing your beautiful sunlight back. He is not merely repairing your current situation. God is restoring your true identity. He reminds you that you remain a child of the radiant light. You possess a divine heritage of joy that was never canceled merely because you suffered through a few harsh seasons. The person he is sending is someone who truly recognizes your inner royalty, even when you wear your most worn-out clothes and feel like a total mess. They see the glorious crown God placed upon your head on the very day you were born. They notice the beauty you have tried so hard to conceal, fearing it might actually become far too much for this world. He says, let it be overwhelming. This earth truly needs a little bit more of your radiant light. The Creator wants you to take a slow breath. Allow the air to reach those tight places in your chest where you have been storing heavy stress. Exhale it fully out into the room. Let the physical space hold it for you. You no longer need to carry that weight. You and I are entering a different space now. a sacred space of simply watching, a quiet space to be still. You've spent your whole life doing, handling the daily chores, managing the heavy work, always doing the right thing. Now God wants you to spend a few hours receiving. That is the hardest thing for you to accept, isn't it? To sit with open hands and finally let something wonderful unfold, without trying to repay it or somehow earn it. Let's remember you cannot pay for this. The price is already paid. We can see how their mind is already trying to figure it all out, wondering who it is, or what it is. Is it a certain someone from work? Is it the exact miracle they requested in 2019? But heaven asks them to pause. Just enjoy that sweet anticipation. Remember that magical feeling on the very night before their childhood birthday at age 7, that sudden flutter in the stomach, the pure sense that the whole world might deliver something truly wonderful to them. The divine wants them to reclaim that flutter. This feeling is definitely not anxiety. It is excitement. They feel completely identical in the body, but they mean drastically different things to a soul. Anxiety is simply waiting for a storm. Excitement is joyfully waiting for a guest. God asks them to open their heart and ennever increases, inch, to let the fresh air inside. The Creator is doing an entirely new thing, and it will happen right while the world is fast asleep. It unfolds gently during those very quiet hours, just before the morning birds start singing. They will see it in how the morning light softly strikes the side of the house. They will hear it in how their own voice sounds when they finally say good morning. There will be a sudden, beautiful lightness that they have not felt since they were little, and they will know it is God. They will realize heaven has not forgotten one prayer. Not a single tear was ever overlooked. The Almighty was simply waiting for the perfect moment to finally knock. Let's watch that moment is almost here. Who is knocking? The stars are quietly whispering to each other, even right now. Let's watch someone step into a beautiful season. Of divine favor. The Creator sees this beloved soul. He witnesses exactly how brave they have been. He notices how they kept pushing forward, even when it felt like nobody else was watching. But God was watching. The Lord is always watching, and He is so incredibly proud. He feels proud of how they have handled the silence. He admires the way they have tried to stay kind, even while carrying deep pain. Let's see why this surprise is so special. It is not merely a shift in circumstances. It is an embrace from heaven. It is God saying, well done. Now, the Almighty takes over for a while. The weary heart does not have to be strong for the next few quiet hours. They no longer need to be the one holding the answers. They simply need to be the one who answers the front door. And when they discover who is waiting, when they see the clear solution, when they witness that profound peace, when they spot the figure standing right there with wide open arms, they are going to laugh. They will laugh at every single moment they spent anxiously worrying. They will smile at exactly how perfect the timing truly was. They will whisper that they should have known. They should have realized it would be this beautiful. And God will answer, I know. He has been planning this for a long time. Now, they can settle into bed or relax in that chair for a little while longer. We leave them in the quiet night perfectly safe. Nothing can touch you in this sacred space where you are resting. The noise of the world is far away. The expectations of others do not matter. Here, there is just you, the Creator, and the presence that is walking toward you. Listen. Can you hear those footsteps? They are getting closer. Not the footsteps of an enemy, not the steps of a harsh judge, just the footsteps of grace. It is a light sound, a very steady sound, the sound of a presence who knows they are welcome. You have spent so much of your life expecting the other shoe to finally drop, always waiting for the bad news, waiting for the rug to be yanked out from beneath you. Stick with me. What if that shoe is actually a gift? What if the news is so incredible it changes your very name? What if the rug is not being pulled out, but is actually being rolled out like a red bios carpet? That is the kind of God he is. He loves to completely flip the script. He loves to take a bitter end and turn it into a beginning. He knows you have been feeling a little bit numb lately, like you are just moving through water. Everything feels slow. Everything feels heavy. This divine presence is going to bring the fire back. Not a blazing fire that burns, but one that warms. The kind of spiritual fire that makes you want to leap up and dance. Just watch. In a few hours, that numbness the heaviness will melt. The color will slowly start coming back to their cheeks. That lost sparkle is going to return to their eyes, and everyone around is going to notice. People are going to ask what happened. They look entirely different, visibly lighter, and they will just smile. They will remember this divine promise. They will think about the who, and they'll know that they are never, ever returning to that gray sadness again. The Almighty is the God of breakthroughs, yet He is also the Lord of the quiet whispers. God is not only in the miracle, He dwells in waiting for that miracle, and their long waiting is almost over. Let's explore who is about to arrive with exactly what they truly need. Could it be the one owing them an apology? Maybe. Is it the leader holding the power to greenlight their biggest lifelong dream? Perhaps. Or is it the soul finally realizing they are perfectly enough just as they are? Definitely. Because once we all grasp that, everything else begins dropping right into place. This who is a key fitting perfectly into the lock of their weary heart. And when it turns, all the rooms they've kept bolted shut for years will finally be flooded with divine light. The vibrant room of their creativity, the intense room of their passion, the quiet room of their peace. The Creator wants them to enjoy the coming hours. They shouldn't rush them. They shouldn't try sleeping them away if they're not entirely exhausted. Just rest in the almost. That waiting is a sacred space. It sits right between divine promise and final fulfillment. It is where true faith becomes sight. The Creator is right there with you now. He is never in a rush. He checks no clock. God is simply enjoying time with His child. You are so deeply loved. If only you could view yourself the way God sees you, completely free from your past mistakes. Without that heavy burden you carry, you are a masterpiece, and heaven is about to reveal your worth. In just a few hours, God is going to prate us to get the papal, pull back that curtain, and everyone will witness what He has always known about you, that you are stunning, that you are perfectly resilient, that you are chosen. Let us be honest. You survived plenty. Those spiritual storms were fierce. The nights felt incredibly long. Yet just look at you. You are still standing firm, still breathing. That is no coincidence. It is His divine strength inside. And today your heavenly reward is arriving. It is time for peace. Let us watch you finally find some real rest. The Maker whispers to the moon tonight, and the silver moon listens closely. Even the stars lean in to witness that beautiful moment dawn breaks. You are part of God's grand design, believer, and this is exactly where the hero finally uncovers the blessing. Only that blessing is not gold. The real treasure is true spiritual belonging, knowing your soul is right where heaven planned. Rest. The weary soul had felt lost for so long, like a puzzle piece desperately trying to fit inside the wrong box entirely. Watch closely. Within hours, their destined miracle was going to show them exactly where they truly belonged, and that timing would be absolutely perfect. No more forcing things, no more draining pretending, no more struggling to belong. They would simply fit, like a hand inside a glove, like a boat safe in harbor, like a child resting in their father's arms. We know they were tired of those metaphors. The Creator knew they craved the real thing. It was coming. The blessing was on its way. Their answered prayer was already on their street. Destiny was already approaching the door. They just needed a light on, not the harsh light in the ceiling, just the small light in their soul, the fragile spark that still fiercely believed something profoundly good could happen. That was all the light God needed to find them, and the Almighty had found them. He had never truly lost them. Even when the believer felt totally lost, the Lord knew exactly where they were. He was the one holding the flashlight. Whenever the power went out completely, the Creator was leaving breadcrumbs whenever they wandered off the quiet path. God was the one about to completely surprise them. The Lord would shout, "Guess who?" in just a few short hours, and they would look up and see Him, not in any scary way, not in a dramatic fashion, but right in the face of the answer, inside the warmth of pure divine relief, in the sudden quiet spiritual realization that everything was actually going to be perfectly fine. The Creator sees everything is fine. You just haven't seen His proof yet. That divine proof is in the mail. It is with the messenger. His proof arrives with the morning. So take heart, precious soul. This brief wait is a whisper. The coming breakthrough is a song. And God's singer is almost here. The Father loves how you lean into this. He smiles as your hopeful heart is starting to beat just a little faster. That sacred hope, dear soul, is heaven's most beautiful sound in the world. Keep hoping. Keep waiting. Just keep being. You and I are approaching what will be the most important hours of your entire year, because they are the exact moments you finally release that heavy fear and let in the chosen one. And once you let them inside, absolutely everything transforms. The house feels different. The air seems changed. The mirror reflects something new, because God deeply loves you, and the Lord sees you, and you are never truly alone. The Almighty hasn't moved an inch from this spot, right beside you, and He won't leave until they are safely inside. God will be there to introduce you. He'll be right there to celebrate. The Creator will stay to remind you, He told you so. His blessing is going to be so incredibly good. Let's take a moment to close our eyes now, or maybe don't. Just be completely still. Notice the divine rhythm of your own life. It is a beautiful rhythm. It is a holy rhythm, and it is about to find sweet harmony in just a few short hours. The Creator whispers. He prepares the absolute greatest spiritual surprise for their lifetime. The Lord promises, and His divine word never ever breaks. He deeply loves His precious child. He truly cherishes the beloved. He adores the dear soul. We must wait. We must watch. We will see. His radiant light swiftly approaches, bringing exactly what the faithful spirit requires. With it, they bathe in His warmth. They abide in divine peace. The Lord stands near. He remains steadfast, and heaven's grand door is about to open. Let's appreciate this beautiful holy silence together. It is the stillness before His blessing. It is the quiet before the victory. It is the absolute silence where He remains closest. The Creator never abandons them. He is present. They stand together, and the divine presence draws near in just a few short passing hours. Only a few fleeting breaths remain. Heaven is fully prepared. Is the soul ready? They absolutely are. The faithful have been meticulously shaped for their entire existence. Every single tear, every laugh, every moment of doubt, it was all orchestrated for this. The hour arrives. The bright sun shifts. The physical world is turning, and His child is gently carried home. They rest now. The holy presence arrives, and the heavenly celebration is about to begin. The mystery unfolds. It is Him. It is life. It is their future. He found it beautiful, truly profoundly beautiful. He whispered good night, promising to see them in the coming morning with a holy surprise. His love remained always. He loved them deeply. Let's simply feel the quiet. Peace was almost there, almost arriving. Now, the Lord stood beside them. He paused, offering a closer truth. God sat quietly right there beside them, in shadows, watching the divine light, with them forever. Amen. Addressing the family, realizing they might not always find words to fully express their gratitude, yet they deeply honored everyone who had supported this sacred mission. Such generosity carried true purpose. Let's pray the Almighty remembers that kindness, blessing them in His perfect way.